Have you ever found yourself wondering, where have all the pensions gone? Okay, maybe you haven't, but on today's episode of the Wealth Cafe, I am going to break down where they all went and also why you should care. So, to begin with, let's talk about what a pension is. Pensions back in the 1950s to 1980s became very popular in the workplace because it was the employer guaranteeing a certain payout for their employees during the retirement years. Think of it similar to Social Security, except it was coming from the employer rather than from the government. And so employees love this because they knew exactly how much they were going to be getting each month and each year during retirement. Sounds great, right? You would know how much you have. Keep in mind, this is the 1950s to 1980s, so cost of living was different then, and also life expectancy was different then. Similar to the problem we're seeing with Social Security, people started living longer, right? We have healthcare is improving, we have quality of life improving, and people are still retiring at the same age. The problem was that then employers were paying way more than they had anticipated to. It wasn't as we once saw where you'd be retired for a year or two. Similar to how Social Security started, right? Most people never ended up using Social Security. So for pensions, you weren't supporting your previous employees for 10, 20, 30 years. It was for a shortened period of time. This became very expensive and started bankrupting a lot of employers. So we saw these pensions starting to go away. This also came with the rise of 401ks. Now, for those of you who may not know, 401k, it's from the tax code, which is how it got its name. And this rose in popularity because employers now had a way to support their employees through the matching contribution that they could do and by offering these plans. But they weren't tied to giving a certain amount of money for an exponential number of years during retirement. Once they gave you your money during your working years, great. Once you were done working for them, you would go off into retirement, and how you spent the money and how much money you saved for retirement, that was all on you. So this really rose the popularity of 401ks among employers. It's interesting too to see there's a certain generation that I see during financial planning. They were the beginning of that 401k generation, as I call it. And it's interesting because they grew up where their parents had pensions, right? They knew exactly how much money they would have. And so a lot of this generation, they didn't invest or take advantage of 401ks right away because they didn't know what it would look like, right? They were used to having pensions and your Social Security. You knew exactly what you would have in retirement, and that was it. 401ks really changed the way that we plan for retirement. So that's why it's important for you to understand this concept, right? I posted an episode a couple weeks ago talking about the idea of maxing out your 401k and if that's enough for you during retirement. Now you're no longer strapped to a certain fixed income every month, or at least you don't have to be like you would with a pension or Social Security, or just having the two. Now you have so many different options between your 401k, a Roth 401k or IRA, and you may even have an annuity. And some, in some cases, a few people do have a couple lingering pensions out there from maybe their first job or if they were a government employee. However, now you have the freedom to really save and max out this 401k or also save in other areas of your life as well for those retirement years, changing what that time frame looks like. Now you also have the issue that you have to plan for where you could run out of money. Longevity is a real problem that I see in financial planning. I personally have one grandparent still alive who is nearing 100. She was born in the 1920s. You think she thought she was going to live to see 100? That didn't happen back then. And so now longevity has become a problem. And it's no longer like it would be with a pension where your employer has to pay for as long as you live. It's on you to now not outspend or outlive that money. So it really changes the conversation when we are looking at what does your retirement lifestyle look like? I typically ask clients when we are in a financial planning session about the longevity that they saw in their family. How long did their parents live, their grandparents, just to get an idea. I have some clients who are like, my parents died really young. That's going to change the conversation for us. Or they may have parents who like in my family, had incredible longevity, and outliving their money is a real concern. It's not like you can go back to work at 95 and start, picking up another career. So you really want to make sure that you're enjoying those years and also not outliving your money. So that is where the importance of knowing what pensions, the role they played in our lives, and how that's shifted. Yes, you can bring up, okay, well, you still have Social Security for now, and however that may change in the future is unknown at this time, but that is one piece that you can look at, and there are different options when it comes to planning for your retirement. Keep in mind, as women, we also tend to outlive men, statistically speaking. And so it's important for us as well to make sure we're planning for that event of longevity. There is no employer to step in anymore and support us in that cause. So as women, I want you to make sure you are thinking to yourself, okay, my employer is doing matching contributions. Am I at least doing that in order to make sure that I am getting that extra additional money to set aside for retirement? And how else am I planning for retirement? I really recommend that you go back and watch my Is Maxing Out Your 401k video enough? It's over on our Wealth Cafe channel on YouTube, and you can watch the full video and it'll help you walk through what you see for your retirement lifestyle and if maxing out your 401k is enough. Because as I mentioned before, this is on you. This is no longer the employer stepping in, and I will say this until I'm blue in the face because it's really important given our longevity, given everything going on in the world, and with health capacities expanding and also the cost of that rising. I want to make sure that you are secure for retirement with pensions no longer being around. Stay tuned. Next week, we are going to be talking about the difference between defined benefit and defined contribution plans, which really ties into this pension conversation as well. And we'll be continuing to talk about your retirement and planning for your dream retirement. Thanks for hopping on, and we will talk soon.